Welcome back to the final part of our farm tour today. So today we're going to take you around the milk and parlour, the dairy facilities, collecting yard, basically the area where we milk the cows. We'll go through the hand-milk facilities and show you what we have around here. So we're going to do like a farm information video, so that'll hopefully be coming up shortly, and in that we'll explain what kind of a farm we have here, how many cows, everything like that. So we'll give you more detail on kind of the building, you know, when it took place and how the farm got to where it is today. So we're going to show you around now, and we really hope you enjoy it, and if you do, you can give this video a thumbs up and you can hit subscribe and you'll be able to stay up to date with what's going on around the farm. We'll get started?
Yep, let's go.
Let's go. When you come down along here, you have the dairy, the office, we have the toilet in there, and then we have the workshop. So that's on the right hand side, and then at the back we have the collecting yard, we have the milk and parlour. At the front here we have the drafting pens.
We're in the milk and parlour. As we said before, half the land is owned, half the land is leased. So about 50% of the time when the cows are at grass, they walk in along this slatted tank into the collecting yard, and they do kind of like a U around the collecting yard, and that lines them up straight for the milk and parlour then. The idea of the circular yard is that the cows, regardless of what direction they're coming in, they're always lined up for the milk and parlour. If they're on the leased ground, they can come in through the double gates over there. When the cows are in on cubicles, which they are during the winter months, they can come in if the gates are set up in along here, along this alleyway, and again they're lined up straight for the milk and parlour again. Then when the cows are in the collecting yard, we can close up the gates and use the backing gate behind the cows to gradually encourage the cows into the milk and parlour. The idea behind the backing gate is that it's not a battering ram or anything. You're not shoving cows in. They should walk in themselves, but you're not leaving big open spaces for them to kind of idly stand around. There's a string running the length of the pit, so you could be at the top of the milk and parlour cupping cows, and if you saw that you needed more cows to come in, you can pull the string and that will bring the gate on a certain distance. Programmed to move about roughly one row.
We were making a video about the collecting yard. What's happened now, Patrick? You doing what?
Small bit of maintenance.
For goodness sake.
Aren't we, Freya?
It holds about 140 cows, which is what we have at the moment. So the noise that you were hearing when the backing gate was going is a little alarm, and what it does is it kind of conditions the cows so that when they hear that noise, so it basically signals to the cows that the backing gate is going moving now, and it kind of also conditions them in a way that when they hear the alarm, they'll start to automatically move before the gate even moves. which is great. So a bit of psychological conditioning there. And you might see these channels around the collecting yard. They're kind of like in pizza slices. That's not a technical term, so don't quote me on that. When the backing gate is moving, it pushes the cow dung into the channels and then it flows into the tank. The backing gate goes all the way around and there's water that we can turn on. So it'll go back around the way that it came and it'll wash the whole collecting yard, which is great.
That's our meal silo. It's a 10-ton meal silo from VMAC silos in County Monaghan. So again, that was grant aided along with the milking parlour. We generally use a dairy nut for the milking cows. So at the moment we're using a 12.5% protein grazer nut that got made up by our discussion group. It's a 20-unit herringbone Gascoigne milking parlour with swing over arms and ACRs. We're in the milking pit.
The best spot.
Best spot, yeah. Anything you see here, we kind of copied off someone else. The main thing we wanted was to have good cow flow. We wanted cows coming in easily and also exiting quickly. What can speed up milking is cows coming in, cows going out. We didn't put in concrete walls on the sides. We used pillars and girders then to support the milking parlour, and we have a small stub wall on both sides to hold the meal trough. The meal feeders, I suppose, again we try to keep the costs down, try to keep it as simple as possible. We're, I suppose, a moderate input system, feeding about between, depending on the year, between 500 kilos and a ton of meal per cow. They're what we call pig feeders or batch feeders. It's one long open trough on each side and we just have the pipes coming down feeding the meal then to the cows. There does be a certain amount of robbing between cows, but we don't mind too much because they're not getting too much meal. The maximum amount we'll be feeding maybe is 5 to 6 kilos. And if the cow doesn't get the meal in here, she can get grass outside. So we're feeding the herd rather than feeding individual cows. At the moment we're feeding 2 kilos of meal and that will probably continue through the summer. The rest is grass. In terms of the milking plant then, again it's fairly simple. There's no bells and whistles with it. We have the lightweight clusters which we're all very happy about. So when we're milking a cow, say on the left hand side, the ACR, when the cow is finished milking, it turns off the vacuum, then the ACR brings up the clusters. It's ready then for the next cow. We can swing that arm over and we can put it onto the cow then on the other side. The only other thing then really of any consequence in the milking pit is the teat spray. So we just have a teat spray every so often down along, so we can, after milking, when the cow is milked, we can spray.
Can do a demonstration.
Just one thing we saw on another farm there was this step rail. We can tail paint or observe the cows by stepping up onto the rail. During breeding, it's kind of difficult to see the tail heads from down here in the pit. Then along the rump rail here, we have a handle at the top of the parlour, in the middle and at the end of the pit. And we can use that to open and close the front gate. You can be halfway down the milking pit, teat spraying the cows on this side that are finished milking. They'll be walking out while we're teat spraying the last few cows at the end of the row. You have to say it.
What? Oh, sorry, open sesame. That's amazing.
They're scissors gates. I saw them when I was working on a farm in New Zealand, and the reason we went for them was you just have more control over them for the manual drafting. The drafting then is a very simple system. Again, we have a little pulley we're able to pull down and it opens out this gate here. So we can draft cows into the pen on the right hand side here. Cows on this side are drafted into the pen here. This area of the milking parlour is the handling facilities. This is where we deal with cows, whether it's AIing, scanning, dosing, vaccinating, anything like that. We saw this on another farm. We'll set up the gates here and we can divert the cows around and up through what we call the batch crush. It's where you hold the cows very similar to the herringbone parlour side by side. So the idea behind that is then that you have safe access to the cow. The cows also are a lot more comfortable in it because they're similar to the milking parlour, they're side by side. We're able to hold 20 cows, which is the same amount as one side of the milking parlour. Beside that then we have the head to tail crush. This is a retaining bar that we can use on the last cow. So sometimes if we're AIing, we might have 5 or 6 cows for AI. So we're not using the full crush. So this bar just retains the last cow. This is a hoof pairing crate. We use it if we have any lame cows. As soon as a cow gets lame, we're able to examine her and see what the problem is.
So this is where you come into the yard, and in front of you here you have the dairy. Just have a little post box, so invoices and milk slips and things like that go into that. And over here we have our cell check awards for low cell count. So we have to put up 2017 and 2018. We'll probably go up there as well. So them up and then into the dairy. So this is our dairy. So in our dairy we have our rinse water sink. These are just detergents underneath. Then this is our detergent sink. So there's going to be a hot wash tomorrow, and that's just our schedule of what washes are on what days. We have a sink for hand washing, just brushes, gloves, soap, things like that. That's just a dump bucket. We don't have a dump line or anything like that in our milking parlour. Or if a cow needs antibiotics for any reason, we just use a dump bucket and milk her and then just dump the milk out. I'm just talking to myself.
Not sure you read that the whole time.
I know, but nobody else needs to know.
The milk filter, we got a new one in recently. So up to this we were using the socks. We saw in another place on a discussion group meeting, a guy had like a permanent filter and he just cleaned the filter. So it's very handy then and environmentally friendly. So that's it there. The milk filter basically stops any dirt or sediment.
So this is a plate cooler.
It's kind of a low cost method of cooling the milk before it gets to the bulk tank. The water and the milk are side by side in each of the plates, and that helps cool the milk. Bulk tank coolers bring it down the rest of the way down to about 4 degrees Celsius. The bulk tank is where the milk is stored. The capacity of the tank is 13,200 litres. It's auto wash, so it'll automatically wash. So when the milk lorry man comes, collects the milk, he puts on the wash so that it's ready for the next milking. There's no milk in the tank at the moment because the milk was collected this evening. And so it's just showing that it's 18 degrees approximately in the tank. Normally the milk cools down to about 4 degrees. We just have these here at the moment because of the COVID-19. We have our sanitizer, wipes and paper towel then for the milk lorry man when he comes. The refrigeration units then are upstairs in the loft. So you can see where those pipes lead to up there. So we put concrete slabs, say, above the dairy, so just to give us extra storage space, and it also finishes off the dairy. We don't have to go putting PVC or anything like that above. This is kind of like a control hub then to get the milking machine started. We also have an air purge, so to get the last of the milk into the bulk tank. So for anybody, say, starting out, or even for ourselves, to remind us of the different steps. we have them listed. Now we have them fairly comprehensively done, but we wanted to do it so that anybody could come in here and using the instructions be able to milk. Over here we have the labels for the milk samples. Each time the milk is collected, a sample is taken so that the protein, butterfat, cell count, lactose, total bacteria count can all be tested to make sure, first of all, the quality tests to make sure the milk is up to standard, and then second of all, the protein and the butterfat to give us a price for our milk. Then we just have a first aid kit, and we have a list of important contact telephone numbers, also our area code, which is the equivalent of a postcode.
So this is our dairy and chemical store. It can be accessed from the dairy, which is that door there. And we also have this roller door as well. The reason we have the roller door is because we need to get in the IBC of teat spray. That's the teat spray for the milking parlour. And that's the teat spray unit there. In our dairy store, we just keep things that we need on hand for the milking parlour. Just starting on the left hand side of the shelves, we keep teat sealer, marker sprays, electrolytes. Next shelf is we've gloves and cleaning supplies. Then we have bits and pieces for the milking parlour. We have hoof care, and then on the top then we have kind of just dry cow tubes. On the other side of the shelves we just keep detergents, leg straps for the cows. We have calving supplies, so just bottles and powder colostrum, things like that. The next two shelves are veterinary items. You might actually be wondering why there's shaving foam. We use the shaving foam to mark the cows in the milking parlour for drafting out. So we use them instead of marker sprays. So because we use the shaving foam on the cows, our milking parlour always stinks. Our AI technician always says how our milking parlour smells like an underage teenage disco. So it probably does a little bit. And then on the top then we just have drenchings and pour-ons, things like that. Then over here is our medicines fridge. We got that fridge on Dundee for like €150 I think. So we just keep things like antibiotics, vaccinations, anti-inflammatories, kind of things like that. So just beside the fridge here we keep a box for storing used bottles and syringes, and then when that gets full we can drop that into the vets. They'll dispose of them properly. The last thing really then in our chemical store is this is our dairy wipes for wiping cows. I know that's upside down now, but we use these eco-natural wipes. So if you're in the market for wipes, actually these are really, really good. They're actually made from recycled milk cartons. We find them as good as if you're a dairy farm and you know the green wipes, everybody has them. We find them just as good as the green wipes. Thanks so much for watching this video, and if you like it, please do give it a big thumbs up. Hit subscribe as well, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, see you soon. They walk.
What is she doing? Are you having a nice time over there? Oh, she's trying to get to the cat. Look at you looking at yourself.
Go on.
Gonna have a good scratch there in the back of the video. Good woman. Get all the nits out. Yeah. No, still going. No, don't mind us, Freya. You work away there. Yeah. Jenny Mac, this is the longest each in all mankind. Good woman. Could be worse. She could be going to the toilet in the back of the video.